fam? What's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Mindset Mondays. Again, Mindset Mondays. I get excited about Mindset Mondays, man, with my co-host, Justin Thorstad.
Thank you.
That was it.
That's it. That's all it's required.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Boom.
Short,
nice,
sweet, to the point.
Solid. Yeah, kind of like it. But yeah, let's do episode number 2. We're gonna talk. This is gonna be the second episode that we talk about resilience. We mentioned that we're gonna be doing 2 of these. So this is the second one. The first one I think we tackled a lot of the stuff that kind of comprises, right, the mindset portion of it, and some tactical advice and stuff in there, right. On this one, I think we're gonna hit some of the more objective things that, okay, like, for example, what is it that keeps you afloat when you're in the middle of all the noise, when you're in the middle of all the struggle, right? When we're there feeling like we're on round 12 of that fight, and I mean, we're looking for that knockout, otherwise we're not gonna win, right? Like that kind of vibe. I just watched Creed 3 last night, so that's fresh. Yeah, it's fresh in my mind right now. But it's important, right, to have that level of awareness, and then to recognize what is happening to us from a mental standpoint, from a thought process standpoint. So we're gonna dive into that. And with that being said, bro, I mean, it's been a minute. We took a couple of weeks where we were kind of doing our thing and got caught up, and resiliency became a factor, right? So it's gonna be really good.
The actual application of it.
Yeah, the actual. So this is tried and tested. The stuff that we're about to break down right now. So with that, kick it off, dude.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think where we left off, we were going to talk about kind of self-sabotage and some self-awareness. Like, again, that resiliency of how do you stick with a thing? How do you persevere and be persistent and just keep going until you win? Because I think that's, that's where a lot of entrepreneurs fail, is they just quit because things got too hard, couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Seems like it's never going to end. I'm never going to win. Just losing money, losing time, sacrificing all this. And for what? And then they throw in the towel. And that to me is just so sad, because I really do feel like most entrepreneurs stop short 3 feet from gold, man. And it's a shame, because you can have it all and you can accomplish those goals and achieve those things if you don't quit. So how do you build that resiliency?
It's I don't know. I have this thought, man. I feel like we get beat down the most right when it's about to work.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's divine intervention or whatever it is, but sometimes things seem to get just harder.
Yeah,
right as things are about to click.
100%, and I think every entrepreneur that's succeeded at something has experienced that. And a lot of people say, "Well, you're being tested." Yeah. And I just think that's the biggest bunch of bullshit. Because so if you don't quit and you succeed, does that mean you got an A? And who the fuck is keeping score?
Yeah.
Like, where's my report card? Show me. You know what I mean? So it's not a test. However, I think that, whatever you subscribe to, God, the universe, the divine, loves you enough to give you opportunities to practice your resolve, practice your resilience, so that you can build it. Because I know for myself, like, if we want to talk self-sabotage, for me, when I develop a faculty, like let's say some resilience, some stick-to-itiveness, some no-quit attitude, and I succeed with something because of that faculty that I just exercised, I'm all proud and I'm like happy with myself. Yeah. But then 6 months go by and you haven't touched that faculty again because it wasn't required of you, wasn't demanded.
Yeah.
And then
give me an example of that.
Well, and I'll just finish the thought, and I can probably come up with something. Then when there's a situation where you've got to practice that same faculty that you haven't brought out and exercised in 6 months, how is it? How you doing? It's weak. It's kind of atrophied. And now that muscle's weak.
Yeah.
And so it's here's an opportunity that I get to practice that again to strengthen it.
Something as simple as like going to the gym, right? Like if you stop going to the gym for a week, it becomes easy to not go to the gym.
Oh yeah.
Then you have to kind of pull yourself together again and then start doing getting
well, and your diet probably went to shit because you weren't going to the gym. You're like, it's just a little of this, it's just a little of that, and pretty soon that just became the predominant diet.
Yeah, for the week. I mean that's one example, right? But I feel like the structure behind it it's very similar. In terms of self-sabotage, I mean, sometimes we can have this consistency going, boom, 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 and then everything's all well or panning out or working out, and then boom, something happens to throw a wrench right in the middle of the engine, right, and then it things halt.
Yeah.
Sometimes that something is us because things are going well. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that just fucking insane? I mean, but we do that. We do that kind of stuff, right? We call it self-sabotage.
And unfortunately, for most of us, it's unconscious. Like we don't think about, ooh, how can I derail myself?
Yeah, how can I mess up my day?
How can I fuck this up even worse?
Yeah.
That's not a conscious thought. In fact, we're looking for solutions, right? But the problem is we're using our mind when it's wrapped up in all kinds of garbage topics.
Yeah.
And we just make the matter worse. So yeah, it's that level of self-awareness of just checking in on, okay, where am I really at right now? What's my point A? Where am I?
Well, we have the self-awareness, right? But what about self-sabotage?
So
give me I don't know, give me, for example, because I know it happens to me on a regular basis, and it doesn't always have to look like a bad thing. Sometimes, self-sabotage is that alluring apple, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, things are panning out well. You know that you should, stick to, your consistency, your progress, and everything that you're doing, for a set period of time. Yet we start, looking for things. We start to, when we know we shouldn't do it, we still, we hire prematurely.
Sure.
We'll take a trip in the middle of, something that's big. And it doesn't make sense. And I don't know, it's things, everybody picks their own poison, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's self-sabotage doesn't always look like a bad thing.
No.
And it doesn't even, sometimes it's hard to realize that, that's what happens. That's what's happening.
It takes a kind of a deep level of self-awareness to notice
Yeah.
it. And so for myself, two ways what I self-sabotage is, like if I have a couple large projects that I know we're just going to take, I think, are going to take a tremendous amount of time and energy and focus, and my schedule's packed. I'm like, I don't really have time to fit this in, and I don't want to start on it if I can't finish it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to focus on something else. And then I look at my to-do list, and it's got a bunch of small, menial tasks. At least for most men, like we get a lot of self-worth from feeling productive.
Yeah.
Like we accomplish
checking off the list.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that's why like a lot of men are like, contractors and things like that. They want to see instant results from their efforts. And so when I'm checking things off my list, I feel productive. I'm like, look at me go, man. I got some momentum. I'm doing good. It's like, yeah, but you're not paying attention to what really matters most, and that truly is a priority. And the longer that you push off that priority of getting it completed, like you're building a reputation of like someone that doesn't follow through, someone that doesn't deliver on time, like all kinds of negative type things. There's consequences for that.
One of the things that I find myself thinking about, or questions that I find myself asking myself is I find myself asking myself. But it's am I sacrificing the big picture for immediate gratification? It took me kind of a while to wrap my head around that kind of stuff, but it really just sets me in the direction of questioning, whether or not, right now it's the right thing to do, or am I, sacrificing the big picture by, I don't know, not waking up early, by not,
Yes.
focusing on the stuff that's, that I may not feel so comfortable about doing, right? That right there is immediate gratification. Why? Because I'm evading pain. I'm evading that, the fear.
100%.
How many times throughout the day, and this is a question for you guys out there, how many times throughout the day do you intentionally evade the stuff that you're supposed to be doing just because it feels like it's daunting? Picking up the phone and having a conversation with a new seller, having a difficult conversation with a relative, like keeping your emotions bottled up and in, to yourself, and all, just kind of containing all that bullshit that you need to get out. At one point to have, real solid conversations and live a peaceful life. But no, yet we bottle that stuff in and we just let it fester in there. That's self-sabotage.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's part of it. Take it into any context you want, but, it works the same way.
Oh, you said something about, you're like avoiding and deflecting against things. You ask, audience of who does that? And a lot of people are like, no, I'm consistent, I'm good. It's like, no, remember we call it procrastination?
Yeah.
And I've caught myself a few times. This, again, comes down to a level of self-awareness of there's a project I'm supposed to get done. And in order to take the next step in that process for me to complete my responsibility, what I committed to, is going to require me to educate myself because I'm insufficient in the way of I don't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. And naturally, for most people, you're going to feel that internal like, like I'm not as great as I thought I was, and I'm less than. And it's like, no. And notice the state. And is this where is this lower state coming from? This insufficiency?
Yeah.
Oh, simply because I don't know a thing. Well, great. What an opportunity that I get to learn something new, broaden my horizons. And the more I educate myself and I can implement that and become successful with it, like I just became of more value. So why not look at it as a gift in the opportunity, the present moment, something that's unfolded for your benefit. And instead of deflecting and avoiding it, because you have this ego, why not just get all in and tackle it? Why not go learn something new, which is stimulating for the mind and body?
Yeah. You know, one thing that's happened to me in the past, and it actually, I see it happen to a lot of my students, actually, when there's this big need to be solving a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes, you know, the systems are right, the process is right, the people are kind of plugged in, and the cadence is going. It's not to a place where you can forget about, for example, the business or anything, right? Like you're still operating and whatnot. But it's almost like wanting to tweak things enough so there's something to fix.
So
is that happening? Is that happening? I mean, people do it like one of the most common ways I see it is in, like, for example, setting out marketing campaigns. And not that I want to get pragmatic here on nuts and bolts of business, but that's one way of doing it, right? Like if your marketing is working, if your cadence in your business is working, and now you're picking up and you've been at it for a month or two, we'll find something to tweak to knock it off balance so we can come in and fix it.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
This is a good one. And I'll take that self-sabotage to a whole new level. So, and by the way, the marketing piece, if you want to get pragmatic, because I think nuts and bolts can be important a lot of times. Like if you have a system that's working and you find yourself actually getting bored because you're not learning something new, you're not stimulated, great. How can I replace myself? Who can I put into this position to keep that going while I go stimulate myself with a new marketing campaign, a new leg approach, if you will, that I can invest myself in, and then I'll do that and I'll just keep rinse and repeating. Yeah. So that way I'm bringing in more revenue, more clients, and I'm doing less work. And the work I am doing are the things that I like to do, which is new projects. And so that segues into my self-sabotage of I'll start a business, because to me, startup is the funnest thing ever. It really is. You've got nothing to start with other than an idea. I find myself motivated, inspired, like I'm super excited about it. And I'll get going to work, and I will work as hard as the day is long and sink my teeth into it, and I won't let go until I get to the point where it's got some momentum, it's becoming successful, and I go start something new. Like, wait a minute, whoa, this isn't technically to the level that I wanted it to be at yet. So why am I diverting my attention? Same reason, because it's like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's going to get there, and so now I'm bored. Yeah. And that's not always a good thing to do for your business. Yeah. Again, unless you have someone that you can plug into place, they understand where you started, where you are, and where you're going.
And I think the key is understanding, right? It's got to be somebody, not just like, for example, one thing that I've done in the past, quite a bit of, is the devil's in the details. Mm-hmm. So I'll delegate like the bulk of the thing, right? But it's the micro little details that break and they become time consuming. Oh yeah. And a lot of times I have to come back and then just kind of fix those and do and it's not stuff like that. It's not going to go away when you start growing a company, right? It doesn't go away overnight. But I think we can do a better job of just counting, at least at a personal level, dialing stuff in before I move on to that next thing.
Yeah. Well, so part of what I do is, in any of the companies, I don't have like hardly any employees. I think Libertas have the most amount of employees of 3. Yeah. Employees as far as like an actual hourly type wage. Yeah. Because the people that I put into place, I want you to be able to share in the massive success. Yeah. Which means, though, your income is going to be tied to the success of it. Yeah. And so them having a vested interest supports their second set of eyes and mind in looking at the situation and, okay, how do we trim the fat? Make this more effective, more efficient, so that you have to work less and you can accomplish more, because then you earn more. So when they have that kind of vested interest to be mindful of not just like crank the machine, but really tweak it, improve it, evolve it, you just get so much better results effortlessly.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think effortlessly is stretching it, right? Because
Well, I didn't say no effort,
Yeah.
just effortless, less effort.
okay,
than,
that makes more
yeah,
sense.
that's what I mean by effortlessly.
So I mean, and that ties right back into the concept of resiliency, right? If you're starting too many fires at the same time, they're all in different spots. I mean, they're eventually going to combine into this big ass fire that you're not going to be able to put together, right? If they're, they get together. But it's important to just have that awareness of where you're at. And this is going, back to that second portion of the conversation that we're going to tackle a little while ago. You mentioned something really cool, which I've actually done. You said every hour you set up your timer, right? Kind of like an awareness timer.
Yeah.
Throughout your day. And every hour, ask yourself, or just let it ring, and then ask yourself, where am I at? Just think of it as a checkpoint for awareness, and I think that's a really, really clever idea. I used to have there's actually an app that you can download to your. I had it on my Mac, but it was in the top corner of the screen, and every hour it would just pop. It would just just give me an awareness, and it would give me
cue.
Yeah, like a cue to reset for 5 minutes, and I was doing it more so on the for the diminishing results, when you're tired, you don't produce as well and whatnot.
Yeah.
So every hour, just force myself to get like a little 5-minute refresher. But I mean, I think it plays right into the awareness portion of it, right? How many like we go? It's hard to tell how many hours we spend on social media, how many hours spent doing tasky shit that's not gonna move the needle.
Yeah.
Unless, right, we're intentional about it.
100%. So part of the first of all, becoming aware of your own self-sabotage and then reframing your mind to course correct is you got to check into what's causing this. Where's it coming from? And that level of self-awareness, yeah, absolutely. That's that 1 hour check-in is something that I've done with a lot of my private coaching clients. Yeah. And, among a couple other things intertwined into it, it's all custom, of course, is this one strategy for several of my clients has catapulted them 300, 400% increase in revenue.
Wow.
And I don't care what industry. And it is that of man, put an alarm on your phone every hour from the time you get up. So if you get up late at 8, it's weird to me. Yeah. And you go to bed at whatever, every hour. And every time that alarm goes off, that's your cue. Stop what you're doing, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and check into how am I feeling right now? Mm-hmm. What am I feeling? What is my state?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's hard to become accurately aware of what we're thinking because you're thinking so many things. I mean, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and you want to identify and pinpoint which one caused my state when I don't even know what my state is yet. So check in. How's my body feeling? I'm low energy. I'm a little negative. I'm kind of cranky. Okay. Yeah. What have I been thinking about recently in the last hour? Just check in. And then, again, when you identify how I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing in my body, and what are these thoughts, then okay, deep breath, clear it all out, reset, reboot. Now let me get intentional. Who do I desire to be in the next hour? That's it. Just for the next hour, this is how I'm going to think, this is how I'm going to feel, and this is how I'm going to behave. This is the personality that I'm going to be for the next hour. And, it's going to be difficult for the first day, 2, maybe even 3. But if you did that every single day that you go to work, Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday, for 2 weeks, oh my God, you would literally have a different personality at the start of week 3. Yeah. Literally. It would be more intentional, more focused, more deliberate. You'd be bringing a better version of you to the party.
100%, man. It's again, it goes back to the intentional part, right? It doesn't matter how great of a team you have, a great of a vision, idea, skill set, talent. If we're not intentional about what we're doing with any of that, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere.
I just had a call on the way over here. One of my branch managers was talking about an agent in his office. And he said, she said she's following your plan, Justin, exactly, of what to do. And she has been for a couple months, and she's not seen the kind of results that you guaranteed. And I was instantly, I got to come back. And I was no, let him talk. And he told her exactly what I would have said. I mean, in different words of it's not just about the action you're taking. it's not about just checking a box that's going to bring success. It's what version of you are you bringing to the party? What version of you is picking up the phone and making that phone call? Is it like an energy wet blanket?
What's the energy behind it? I think is the biggest question, right?
Yeah, it's your state. You know what I mean?
One thing that I've been doing for years too is I'll pay attention to my first thought.
Okay.
Wake up in the morning. If you want to find out quick what's consuming your day-to-day thinking, wake up. First second when you open your eyes, what is the first thing that pops to mind? What is the first thing that pops to mind, right? Is it going to be an employee thing? Is it going to be a company thing? Is it going to be an emotional relationship thing? Is it going to be a health thing? Is it going to be financial thing? You that's going to give you a big cue of what's the rest of the day
What's
looking
to come.
in terms of that train of thought. So, but that first thought I think is really important to be one in complete awareness of where you're at. And intentional about what you want to do. Like, is it a good thought? First off, if it's a good thought, shit, let's have more of those.
Yeah, is it forward moving, right?
Yeah, forward moving.
So to just make a subtle adjustment to that, what I began doing quite a while ago is as soon as I become conscious, awake in the morning, and maybe I haven't even opened my eyes yet, but as soon as that I realize that I'm awake, before I get out of bed, before I touch the phone, before anything, I stop for a minute and I set the intention of who do I want to be today? Yeah. What do I want to think? What do I want to feel? What do I want to focus on? Yeah. Like, what personality characteristics am I going to bring forth today? Yeah. Like, who do I desire to be? And if someone can do that consistently every single morning, even on the weekends, like pretty soon you start to notice your personal reality has improved so much.
Yeah.
Because you're setting the energetic tone for the day of like, this is how it's going to be. Regardless of what reality unfolds in front of me, I am still in control of who I choose to be.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, you think about it, people are like, oh, well, this situation happened and it stressed me out. No, you're stressed out. You just use that situation to reaffirm your emotional addiction to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you got it backwards. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? You know what I mean? It's like, if you're not setting an intention and defining yourself by that vision, you're going to be left with the memories of the past, and largely your future is going to be predictable.
It becomes reactionary.
100%.
It becomes just a space where we respond to what happens around us, and I mean we've talked about that quite a bit in the past. But it's I think getting a hold or getting a grip on what's hitting you, even from I like that first thought, and I like the adjustment that you made to it because that gives you the power, right? You're kind of recollecting your personal power behind that thought or behind that that energy behind it. But one thing that I think that first thought in the morning, it's uncontrolled thought. It's not guided by anything else. It's not. I mean, it's just it's boom. It's a thing that happens because it's fresh in your mind. It's top of mind, right, at that point. But I think it also gives us a lot of insight to our subconscious because we're just coming out of it. We're just coming out of that sleep mode, that sleep state. We're just coming out of those dreams and having all these conversations, at a subconscious level. And it's the first thing that pops up, right? So it's a connection to that. Even if you think about something in the morning, first thought, and you say, no, that makes no sense. I mean, go visit it again. See if it really doesn't make any sense at all, right? Because it's coming from somewhere deeper inside of you. Not TV, not radio, not a podcast, it's not suggestive. It's not coming in as a suggestion from the outside world. It's coming in from inside of you. So getting a hold of that, understanding where that, train of thought, the train of thinking comes from, right? Sitting down and asking yourself, who do I want to be? Even for the next hour, take it on an hourly basis, right? Yeah. That gives you back that sense of power. It gives you back that sense of ability, right, to act for ourselves, not just react. And that plays right into resiliency.
100%. So it's taking a proactive approach, right? Because if someone's waking up and they're thinking a thought and the first thought is super negative, right? We could go down a lot of different rabbit holes with that one. Yeah. But specifically and I won't, but I just want to touch on this. What was the last thing you did before you went to bed? Was it you were watching like a thriller movie, or were you listening to like a podcast about inner peace and reducing stress? And did you journal? Did you meditate? Like, what was your state before you went and marinated on it for several hours that you woke up in like kind? Do you know what I mean? So, and to set the intention first thing in the morning is more of directing the mind than it is being kind of a hostage to it of whatever it wants to think is what might be. And that's a scary thought. So, yeah, you could take a resilient, proactive approach to directing this crazy inner roommate.
Yeah, crazy inner roommate. 100%.
It needs to be medicated sometimes.
Yeah.
If you listen to it.
So give me, I don't know, let's break it down. Let's put some nuts and bolts on this thing, right? What are 3 steps to improving one's resiliency?
I think the first thing would be set the intention for the day. First thing, before you get out of bed, set that intention. How do I want to think? What do I want to think? How do I want to feel? And who do I desire to be today?
Yeah.
The next thing is, let's see.
So this is what I had for that, right? Intention, absolutely. I mean, I think that leads the way. The second one would be awareness. Because we may be intending to do something, but if we have no awareness of our emotional state, I mean, it becomes just it becomes writing on the wall. That's
agreed 100%. So to cultivate that self-awareness, you got to have a practice. Yeah. So a morning practice, ritual, whatever you want to call it. Just don't use the word routine because that becomes boring. Yeah. So for example, your morning ritual, like mine is gratitude. Like, let me get myself in a state of thanks of that I've already received it. Yeah. Like, so that I'm living right now from the future as if it's already happened. Yeah. Like, because that's a good state of being, right? Yeah. Instead of the state of being of, well, it's not here yet and may not happen, and I'm going to take that shitty lower version of me throughout my day. No way. Yeah. Meditation, quiet that inner roommate, quiet the body, so that for the rest of the day, instead of reacting to it and my reality, I can direct it. Yeah. So that I'm responsible and less victim to myself.
Number 3, I'd say just be mindful of self-sabotage and ask yourself if you're sacrificing the long-term vision over the big vision for immediate gratification. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest cues for self-sabotage, right? Yeah. And do I have something better that I want to do, something bigger that I want to do, but right now I want to take a nap? It's self-sabotage. But right now I want to go have, beers and drinks. It's self-sabotage.
Absolutely. Yeah. So 2 things for self-sabotage to become aware of that. One is that alarm every hour. Yeah. And the next one, and almost nobody will do this unless they're forced, but because you'd really have to love yourself enough to give yourself an opportunity to win. Yeah. Which means you'd have to be consistent in a practice. And that is, like, I think for most entrepreneurs, they say there's just not enough time in the day. There's so much to get done, and I can't get it all done. It's like, I really want to grab them and just be like, come here, I'm going to tell you a little secret. You are full of shit. It's not true. We all have 24 hours in a day. Yeah. The question is, how effective and efficient are you at what you're doing? Yeah. So what I have people do is just take a blank schedule, and it's broken down from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. And every 30 minutes, you're checking in. What did I get done in the last 30 minutes? Yeah. Now, this isn't like a journaling exercise where you're writing a paragraph because you just wasted a bunch of time. But just notate, what did you do? Okay, I woke up at this time, and here I did my gratitude and meditation. Okay, next 30 minutes. Go. What'd you do? Yeah. Well, I did my exercise and a cold plunge. Like, just real quick notes. If you'll track that every 30 minutes of your waking hours for 7 days, you'll become completely aware, because it'll be self-evident, of how much time you waste avoiding, deflecting, procrastinating, hiding out, wanting to be stimulated, looking for instant gratification. Like, people are not as effective as they think that they are.
There's no more clear sign of procrastination other than like our own stuff when we write it down. It's stressful like, to look back at the last, I don't know, 2-3 hours, right? And like know for a fact that, we were not productive. We were not doing this. We were not doing, and we think we are. We think we are.
Oh man, that strategy right there, that practice is like the key to cut out that feeling of, at the end of the day, you're like, my God, I worked so hard today and I did so much, but I feel like I didn't get anything accomplished.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And then you bring home the shittiest version of you to the people who you say you love the most.
Yeah.
Your honey, your kids. You know what I mean? It's like, so you just wasted the best version of you, not getting much accomplished, and now you have nothing to give to the people you love the most. Yeah. Like, document that, because when you document that for a week, inevitably, every single person, and I've given this to hundreds of people, and the people that have actually completed it, at the end of the 7 days, when they come back to report, I'm like, let me see your sheet. Show me evidence that you did it. Yeah. And I better see different color, pen marks on there, because anyways, every single person has always said the exact same thing. I didn't realize how much time I wasted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we say it all the time too. Like, oh, I wish I'd know now, like I wish I knew 10 years ago what I know now, right? I wasted a ton of time. It's the same thing, just at a smaller scale, at a micro scale.
So again, if you really desired to elevate your results, you would take that exercise, both of them, and start today.
Start now.
Like, get it set up. Get your alarm set up for tomorrow. Yeah. Get your blank schedule with those 30-minute marks so you can write in what got done. And the answers to...
Do an app if you're techie. Keep it simple. Right?
Yeah, whatever. I like paper. But I'm also tech adverse because... anyways, we're not going to talk about that. Like, those two things will help you become more efficient, more effective, which boosts confidence, self-worth, self-esteem, so that you can show up even bigger and better the next day and the next day, and you just build momentum with it. Yeah. So the best way to build momentum is to set and hit short-term targets. Those short-term targets can be every 30 minutes document, every hour check into your state. Like, it's that simple. And it sounds easy, but it's not. Yeah. Because anything that you're going to do new for the first time is never easy.
Well, I mean, I think that plays right into the commitment, right? That's needed too, also 100%. For success. Like, if you're committing to something and then just half-assing it, or letting it go after a day or two because it's too complicated or not, and you're only committing to doing it for 7 days. You can't even pull that out. Or,
what are we talking about? And you want to be successful in business?
You want to. Yeah, exactly. You want to do business and run people. Like, come on. If you jump into it, jump into it.
Yeah, well, and jumping into it is like, you're either committed, which means doing whatever it takes, or you're interested. Yeah. And interested isn't going to cut it.
No, it never does. Yeah. So talk to you of resiliency. I mean, I think it's a really good closure, right, to the 2 episodes that we talked about. But yeah, set your intention, grow your awareness, and be mindful of self-sabotage. Those 3 are huge.
Use those practices to really become aware.
Yeah. All right, fam. So we're going to wrap it up with that. Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you if they want to reach out, have a conversation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tap you on the shoulder,
YouTube,
buy you a beer.
At Mindset Coach JT, Facebook, Instagram, and my cell, 602-348-8534.
Boom! All right, and do us a big favor. If you like the content that we're putting out there for you guys on a regular basis, make sure that you subscribe, you like, and you share. Send this out to somebody who you think might benefit from it. It's help us spread the word, right? At the end of the day, this is an elevator. We all level up, equally, right, as we're going through life. And we can collaborate and lean on each other's talents and do great shit together if we just set our intention to it. So with that being said, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay focused. You got this.